a very special guest joining us today. We have Mallika Malhotra with the brand CEO. Hi, Mallika.
Hi, how are you?
I am so good. So, for those of you listening in or watching, my name is Akila Mendez Valdez. I am thrilled to be interviewing yet another one of our NAWBO San Antonio members and finding more about what makes her brand tick. And brand is probably the perfect word because you are the brand CEO. So, walk me through a little bit more as far as what does that mean? How do you guys work with clients?
Yes, so I am the brand CEO. I am the brand strategist. I'm a mentor. And I work primarily with female entrepreneurs, women who feel like what I call the invisible expert. So they're really good at what they do. They probably have a couple of years of experience under their belt. They probably have an audience, an offer, but they're still overlooked and they're probably still underpaid. And to me, that is a strategy issue, a positioning issue, and a messaging issue. So often they come to me when they are plateauing or things just don't seem to be working or their message isn't sticky enough. And then we kind of relook at who they are, how are they different, all the essentials of branding that often people overlook or don't do the work because they go to the sexy part, which is the website and the colors and the social media, instead of like really building that foundation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm glad you referred to some of the things that we do as the sexy part, because usually it's like doesn't feel very sexy at all. So I appreciate that. But walk me through, it sounds like from, the choice of words that you're using, is this something that like a woman business owner and possibly someone who's in the corporate world could use if they're wanting to build their personal brand from, I want to climb the ladder, get that promotion, that kind of thing as well?
Yes, 100%. I think, branding for a business is very similar to developing your personal brand, right? Because it's about, creating this persona, this image, this reputation of yours so that when you're not in the room, people know exactly who you are. And if we don't shape that, if we don't create that and do the work, then unfortunately someone's going to do it for us, right? People are going to talk about us or the competition is going to dictate who we are. And so that work is really important. It doesn't matter if you're in the corporate world. It doesn't matter, even if you're a professional, like more doctors or dentists are also doing this work, right? Because the marketplace is saturated. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of options, especially now that we're going online. And so there's more, pressure to actually develop a brand for yourself so that, you're quickly understood, your values articulated, and that your competitive edge is really communicated to your audience so they see that what your value is.
Okay, awesome. So walk me through kind of your journey to get here. Have you always had that entrepreneurial spirit? Did you start in the corporate world and then shift gears? Help me understand kind of your path to where you are today.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, I have to say. So I went to college and I studied business and marketing. I have a master's in integrated marketing. And so I was very much wanting to work in corporate. And I did. I worked in advertising agencies in New York City and San Francisco. That was kind of the beginning of my career. And I worked on big brands that were primarily in beauty, which I love, like L'Oreal and Oil of Olay. But a lot of the things that I learned in the corporate world still apply to women business owners just like you and me, right? So it's strategy, it's how do you position yourself, it's what's the message that you're saying, it's evaluating the competition and seeing where the gaps are and where innovation can come in. So, that corporate experience was really helpful. But as I, got older and as I decided to have a family, I knew I had to sort of opt out of the corporate world just because my husband is a surgeon and his career path is pretty intense. His hours were 100-hour weeks. We moved every 2 or 3 years for his training. And I had to figure out a different way to kind of channel my passions and my interests, and being an entrepreneur felt like a good fit. And I've actually been a serial entrepreneur. It's crazy. I've had a handbag business where I designed bangle bags, I called it. It was made with Indian sari fabrics and bangle handles. And then I had a company called Kid Guru, which once I had more children, I took those fabrics and I made applique t-shirts for kids. And then I became a children photographer, children and family photographer. Really loved doing that. And then that evolved into brand photography because that was kind of more in my lane as an entrepreneur and kind of leveraging the skills that I had in my advertising background. And
Yeah.
then as time went on, I kind of learned, and we kept moving, kept moving. And of course, the pandemic happened. And I knew in order to scale my business, to create a sustainable business, I had to think of another way than having this photography, one client at a time, in person, local effort.
Mm.
And that is where brand strategy started to come into play, because the way I did brand photography was I asked all the questions that were strategic. That was the way to have the best visuals, right? And I found I was a much better strategist, if I was being honest with myself, than a photographer. And that helped me kind of pivot into being a brand strategist. So like 2 decades of being an entrepreneur, so many twists and turns, so many lessons learned, kept evolving. And now here, 2025, I really only do brand strategy.
Okay. Very cool. And you are fairly new to San Antonio. So tell us how long you've been here and what that's been like getting to know the Alamo City.
Yes. So we moved in January, again, for my husband's job. So here we are. So it's been less than a year, but it's been good. I think, it's nice to be in a city again. I moved from the state of Maine, which is beautiful, but very sleepy.
Mm.
Um, so it's nice to have that energy of being in a city again. It's nice to have diversity. It's nice to hear Spanish speakers and have that Mexican culture so entwined in the city. So we're really enjoying it. It does feel far because our family's in New York and New Jersey. So that's the kind of, a different time zone, and it definitely requires effort to see family, but it's been good so far.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to hear. Hopefully, the city is welcoming you with open arms. So, break it down for me. If somebody is thinking, like, "Gosh, everything she's talking about sounds amazing," but what is kind of step one? How do people, start out working with you? How much can they build up to if they're doing the full suite of services with you? Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah, so right now I have two ways to work with me. I have kind of my premium product, which is one-on-one mentorship, where you really feel like you need a mentor in your back pocket, right? Someone walking you through the strategy and actually doing a lot of it for you. So I have like a done for you and done with you type of service where we collaborate, we work on things, but I'll actually present to you different options and you get to react to it. Because I have found in the past, you can give someone a strategy, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to implement it. So I have like a 4-month mentorship where we work on the strategy, but every month we work on something. Is it your website? Is it an email sequence? Is it your lead magnet? We actually work on, implementing the strategy into your marketing assets. And then the second way that people work with me is kind of a new way. I've sort of dived into the world of AI, and I've developed some brand building, AI bots. And that is something new that I've been doing. I launched one in February called Lumi, which is about brand messaging. So it's kind of a very accessible, low, ticket item. It's like less than $100 for you to get my framework, almost work with me, but actually work with a bot to walk you through it. And then in the fall, because that has been successful, I've decided to create like an army of brand building bots that really replicate the process that I do one-on-one. So, it's strategy, personal branding, positioning, messaging, and then how to figure out your framework and how to figure out your signature talk. So those are kind of the items that I always work on with my clients. But now with ChatGPT, you'll be able to do it kind of on your own. So that's kind of exciting and scary to be launching that. But those are the two ways now that I'm working with my clients.
Awesome. I love that. And so obviously it sounds like you're jumping right into the world of AI. We use it all the time in our business, but it is funny how many times you still get people saying like, well, no, they can't get my voice right. I'm so unique that there's no way an AI bot could possibly be able to do the things that I do or speak the way that I speak, have the right, voice and message. What do you say to those people who maybe still feel like, oh no, AI couldn't possibly get me or my brand?
Yes, I hear that a lot too. And I say it's kind of like garbage in, garbage out, right? So you have to program the AI and train the AI on who you are. So you have to give them, knowledge documents that really explain what your personality is like, what words you use. And that's where the strategy actually is what we do, right? We have to figure out who we are, who we serve, how we're different, what's the brand tone, what's our values. And once you can really define those things, if you give that to the bot, then they're better suited to then produce what you want. But if you're going in blank and you're just kind of asking ChatGPT to generate things with you, it doesn't know anything and doesn't know where to pull from. So you have to train the bot. And that's what I've really tried to do with the products, the digital, AI assistants that I've created, is to ask the questions so that we pull the information that is yours. So then the outputs are customized and feel more on brand. Because I hear that all the time too, but it's really about the process. What are you telling Chat or Claude so that they can generate better outputs for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that's not a popular conversation to have, to say it's actually user error. If you're not, if you're not feeling good about the results that AI are giving you, it's not because AI is not smart enough. It's because you've got to get better on your side to give it what it needs to be successful. So I 100% agree with that. I think branding is also one of those concepts that people, it's a kind of a trending, buzzy, kind of thing to say, like personal branding. What would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about branding?
Yeah, I think, they think branding are your logo or your colors, right? They don't really think about branding as the reputation of your business, like what you want it to say, the legacy that you're trying to create, that emotional connection that you're trying to make. It's really about a feeling, right? And that emotion. And so that's where it takes it to a different level, where it's not transactional. It's not, this is my product and offer. The brand is the experience that you're trying to create. And that's what's going to differentiate you from everybody else. I mean, let's face it, like if you're looking for a copywriter, you're looking for a web designer, you're going on all the websites, you're looking at their Instagram, you're trying to see, can I have a relationship with this person? Do I like the look and feel? Is her energy and her vibe match what I want? And that's what a brand is. All those other things, yes, we need them, but those are representations of what the brand is.
Right. Yeah. I almost think of it as like, we all know Walmart and Target have very different brands, but it's not just because Target is red and Walmart is blue and they have this logo and they have that logo. There is so much more that goes into the feeling that you feel when you walk into a Walmart versus walk into a Target. That has all been designed, that has all been planned out, and very, very carefully curated, with a huge corporation like that.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. It's intentional. I think often we fly by the seat of our pants and we're like, okay, this is what I think my brand is, but there's no thought, there's no intention behind it. And you can tell the brands that have spent the time to develop and curate the experience, because it's very clear. I say clarity is the most important thing for branding. Like, yes, you want it to be creative. Yes, you want it to engage. But if it's not clear that people understand exactly what you do, who it's for, the transformation, then it doesn't matter, right? So you need that clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of times I think too, once you get people to understand the clarity piece and then they finally share that message, there's also kind of that moment where you have to also help them understand you can't just say it once. You have to say it over and over. So how do you walk, clients through when they feel like, I've been, beating this horse to death. I can't possibly say it again. How do you, keep them energized and excited to just keep at it, stay consistent?
Yeah, so I think that's where the strategy comes into play too. When you're excited about your brand and you've done the work where, you have your non-negotiables, you know what you believe in, you know who your ideal client is, and it's like your brand is like a love letter to them saying, here's an invitation to work with me because I know I have what you need to solve your problem, to get you to the other side. And I'm so excited because my skill set, my passions are all baked into this. Then it shouldn't feel like a chore. It should feel exciting that you're out there and sharing it. So I try to have my clients reframe that. Yes, of course, we have to have 9 to 11 touch points, right? Especially in the competitive workplace and with all of the messages bombarding us. But it should feel not like it's a job. It should feel like a service. It should feel like you're standing in your power and you're actually delivering something that you're meant to deliver. And if you can flip that switch, then it's almost like you don't care if people see it over and over again, because you know what you're sharing is going to make some transformation or make someone think differently or act differently or someone grow their business in a new way. And so I think that's kind of the mindset shift that you have to have.
And drive results, right? Like I think when you have your message so dialed in and you feel so passionate about it, the results naturally follow in terms of new clients or new business, whatever it is. But then that, I think is kind of validating and exciting to keep you going, keep you feeling like, yeah, this is working, obviously.
Because once you hit one milestone, once you get one invitation in your inbox, you're like, oh my God, they're inviting me to be in a panel. Then you talk at the panel and you share your thought leadership, and then you want to do it again and again. And it actually increases that momentum behind your brand.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who, similar to you, is stepping into a new market and moving to a new city? And, it sometimes can feel like your personal brand, you've built so much equity with the people that you know and your network. And then if you've got to restart all over in a new city, you're shaking your head like,
oh, girl, this is the story of my life. I've done it like over and over. Like my family and friends would be like, she's done it again. She's done it again. I mean, it's hard. It's like, there's no way to sugarcoat it. It is hard because you spent many years building that brand, and then now you're pivoting and you kind of have to start from scratch. But you kind of have to just remind yourself that it's not like you're starting from square one. You're just kind of pivoting, right? You're starting from where you are and you're just pivoting. And there might be new opportunities and a new chapter and new energy and new contacts. I mean, this is what I tell myself, and just trying to, and you can kind of redefine yourself if you wanted to, right? You could shift the brand if you wanted to. Things that didn't work with before, now it's the best time to make those tweaks to make it better. So it could be an opportunity. And that's where organizations like NAWBO are so helpful, where it makes you get out. It makes you get out of your bubble at home, where you might be like, singing your sob story of like, I have to do this again. And you're welcomed into a community of other women, and they want to get to know you. So then it starts the process of like reintroducing yourself, and like sharing what your brand is and connecting with new people and start networking and maybe doing some collaborations. But, you have to do baby steps. You can't expect to get to be where you were in the new place. It takes time. And so I always remind myself it's a process. And, even with friendships and socialization, right? I'm starting from scratch, So it's a process, and you just kind of have to let it unfold. But you also have to put yourself out there. It's like dating, right? You're like, you got to put yourself out there. And if you connect, then you go on that second date, and then maybe, you meet your match. And so you just have to really put the effort in and just kind of keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah. Well, that was a beautiful transition to NAWBO. Thank you for that. You're doing my job for me here. So talk me through, how did you even find out about NAWBO? Had you seen it in other cities where you lived, or was it a purely like coincidental? Where can I go? How can I connect? Talk me through that.
Yeah. So when I found out I was moving to San Antonio, of course, the first thing I do is like, what are all the women's entrepreneurial groups that I can consider? Because I've always been part of a local group wherever I've lived, and I've lived in a lot of places. But I've heard of NAWBO before. I mean, NAWBO has a national presence, so when I lived in New Jersey, when I lived in California and Florida, I've heard of NAWBO. I never joined NAWBO, but I heard of it. But when I came to San Antonio, I sort of, visited a few different places, attended some events, didn't join anywhere. And then I think I joined the summit. I went to the summit first, which was a great kind of introduction, because I met everyone at once, right? I met everyone at once, and I saw the speakers, and I kind of felt aligned. I felt like when I saw the speakers, I felt like I could do that too. I felt like there are new people in this organization, but there are also seasoned entrepreneurs in this organization. There are small business owners, there's corporate, there's like a whole diverse group here, which made it kind of exciting versus, just photographers or just, creative entrepreneurs. There's a real nice mix in NAWBO. And so I thought, if I was going to be new to a city, I wanted to be in an established organization that had structure, that had programming, that wasn't like kind of flying by the seat of their pants, changing, what they were doing month to month, and that had people that were running it that seemed like they've been doing this for a while. And that's what I kind of felt when I went to the summit. And then I went to the TED Talk monthly meeting, and that was really exciting, and I loved the energy. And then I met people, and they said the best things about NAWBO. One of the things I worried about was, is it going to be cliquey? Like, do people already have their friends, and you come in and you're just kind of like, oh, I'm not going to really meet anyone, and you don't get the value. and you're paying for it, and then you're not really making those connections. But it was so welcoming. And I've already made, like, people emailing me or texting me to meet for coffee or to go out to dinner, which is really nice, because when you move to a new place, you miss that. You don't even realize it. And then all of a sudden now it feels like NAWBO's given me an anchor a little bit here, which is so nice.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like I kind of hit a turning point when I joined. And then when you invited me to become the marketing director and I just dove head first, it's really was a turning point of how I feel about living here in San Antonio.
Yeah, no, I'm speaking of diving right in. You have gone straight from, member to, hey, let's join the board. Let's be a part of all the things. So I love it. We always appreciate new members who are willing to volunteer and jump in right away. So thank you for that. You've really, truly, jumped right in and started getting involved and helping us elevate things. So I love the visualization of anchor too, because I think, again, when you're out in your own industry or with your own clients, it can feel like I'm just getting pulled in a million different directions and I'm, barely putting out fires as they come along. But to have, your NAWBO sisters be a group that you can come and just kind of settle and feel, whew, okay, I'm all right. Like I'm gonna be okay. I love that you've kind of experienced a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's been great so far.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. What would you tell somebody who is, considering coming to a NAWBO event? We just kicked off our first monthly meeting of the new programming year for NAWBO, and Mindy East, our programming director, is doing a great job with her, ideas for new events and shaking things up a little bit. But what would you tell somebody that's, maybe new to San Antonio and thinking about checking out NAWBO?
Yeah, I would say, definitely attend the events, meet as many people as you can, and then ask yourself, like, is this the room that I want to be in? Are there people in this room that are ahead of me that can help me get to that next point, right? It's great to be in rooms where everybody's at the same level, or if you are the one ahead. But it's even better to be in the rooms where there are people that are at 7 figures or who have, scaled worldwide, and that you can learn from them. And being an entrepreneur for 20 years, living in all these different cities and joining different groups, that is what I look for, because that's how you're going to transform and change your business. So, check it out, see if the vibe is there, see if that energy is there, meet the people, and then just really look around the room and just see, are these women at the stage that I want to be at? Because if they are, then that's the room and that's the group you should be in.
Yeah. That is exactly how I felt walking in. Like, I can see women who are where I want to go, and I'm happy to learn. And I think the key point too is that those women in NAWBO that are at that level are also happy to help. It's not holier than thou. It's not, hey, just try to keep up with me. It's, what do you need? How can I help? Can I be a resource? Can I, be a touch point for you to bounce ideas off of? So the fact that there's no ego involved, there's no, I don't know.
That competition, right? It's
yes,
mindset of like, I can't share because there's not enough clients.
Yes.
And to be honest, you find that a lot in the Northeast, just because I'm from New York. So we're just wired like that. So that is something I've had to work on as I've, evolved and matured. But you don't find that. It's very collaborative here. Once you get out of the Northeast, I'm always pleasantly surprised how collaborative it really is. So that was kind of a nice, not a surprise, but just nice to know that there are women that are willing to open up their circles, to invite you to things, to help you, to listen, right? If you have an issue. And I'm just at the start of it. So I'm so excited to see how much more I can build around that.
Yeah. I know one of the things we're trying to implement this year is more kind of small groups, circles. I think we're kind of still working on the name, but industry specific. So you mentioned there's so many different industries in NAWBO. When you come to a larger scale event, you can absolutely meet people in all sorts of different worlds. But we also think we want to try to start building out more industry specific small groups so that, to your point, we can share resources, we can share, referrals. Hey, this isn't a great fit for me, but it would be for you. And then the flip side, I think too, is there's certainly enough business to go around. But when you start talking to people in your industry, and when you get that level of trust to say, like, how much should I charge for this? Am I undervaluing myself? Am I, is everybody else at the same rates? When you have that level of trust to understand that oh, I could be charging X instead of, Y. I love when women are able to kind of strengthen or have that strong of relationships to share that type of, level of info as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, our experience is our asset, right? So if we could share that with other people and just like, you don't need to do that, or you need to charge more, or have you thought about adding this to your, client experience? It's like so valuable. And when it's coming from a good place, it's just, that kind of camaraderie and connection is really what helps you want to elevate and want to kind of grow that business.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Even just the touch points of like, am I crazy, or is the other person in this situation crazy? Just help
Right.
me understand.
Or like if you have we've all had bad clients or bad client experiences where you can go to someone and be like, this is what happened and I don't know what to do, or this is what I want to do. Should I do this? Is it too much? Like having that, I mean, our husbands or, friends, family, they don't understand so much, right? Because these are our businesses, these are our babies. We're trying to like grow them. And sometimes you could share it with them and they're like, yeah, whatever you think is okay. And you're like, ah. And even like I go to ChatGPT and ask them and I'll get so mad because I'm like, stop sugarcoating and telling me just what I want to hear. Like, poke holes and like, be critical. So that's where, live, women's network like NAWBO is helpful, where you can actually get that honest, raw feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. You've trained your bot to be too nice, Mallika.
I know. I got to go back and have him like kick my bum and be a little bit more harsh.
Now you're from New Jersey. I need you to ask you're from New Jersey. Great. Thank you.
Totally. That's hilarious.
All right. So tell me, what's next for the brand CEO? Where do you see, I mean, obviously you're very, in the AI world and leaning into that, but walk me through, is there anything fun or exciting that you're looking forward to in the next maybe year, 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, so I think, getting into the AI world and trying to see how I could take some of my frameworks, some of my proven systems and put them into the bots. It's very finicky though, this like AI, like some days it works, some days it doesn't, things are changing. So it kind of scares me. I never want to position myself as an AI expert. It's just like a brand strategist using AI, and really so that I can also stay relevant, right, in this world. I think if you're not embracing AI, you're almost a disservice for your business. You have to be using it in some way, either internally or externally, right? But I continue to want to speak and teach. I love sharing and helping people with their messaging and their positioning. I think I break down branding in a different way, where it's like these baby steps that I give them, because it's so overwhelming. I always find my community, they don't know where to start. They don't know what words are the right words to communicate. They go back and forth, but I really try to like almost give them these little steps or templates so that it's just super clear. And once you have that clarity, then it's like these building blocks that make it easier. But like right now, I think I've had a lot of change this year moving. So I kind of can't see more than 2 or 3 years ahead. I just kind of, I want to build my brand here in San Antonio. I'd love to get local clients in San Antonio. Now my clients are kind of all over the place, but I'd love to build that network here. And do more speaking, more podcasts, and more teaching. That would be great too.
Mm-hmm. Fabulous. Fabulous. All right. So if people are listening and they're interested, it sounds like you do such a great job of making branding, not just something where you get a file and you put it on the shelf and you never look at it again. It truly has like that action oriented piece of it. So if people are interested in connecting with you, where can they find you?
Yes. You can go to my website, which is thebrandceo.com, or find me on LinkedIn. And also I'm very active on Instagram, and my handle also is @thebrandceo.
We would be remiss if we don't make sure that our handles and our websites and all the things match, right? If we're branding people, you gotta have all that together. So. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mallika. It's been a true pleasure. We love having you as a part of NAWBO. And if you are watching, if you're curious to attend a NAWBO event, we've got tons of fun stuff coming up this fall and into the year for NAWBO. So scan that QR code if you are watching. If you are listening in, because we did just launch our podcast, Texas Women Mean Business. If you are listening to the podcast, we will put that in the show notes for you so that you can also check it out that way. But thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And thank you, Mallika, for